Hatshepsut's steps echoed through the empty corridors of her abandoned temple. The royal palace was silent, its halls devoid of servants, courtiers, and soldiers. The only sounds were the flapping of pigeons and the whispering wind. Why had this once magnificent complex been deserted? What dark secret did it hold that caused it to be forsaken by all? Welcome to our channel, where we bring you the craziest and weirdest facts from human history. Some stories are so bizarre that even after thousands of years, they still send chills down our spines. Do you need proof? Well, stay with us till the end of this video and we'll tell you all about it. But first, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on any new stories. Let's get started. Hatshepsut ruled Egypt around 1500 BC. Her name means foremost of praises, and she became one of the most successful pharaohs in Egyptian history. But how did a woman come to power in a male-dominated society? Well, let's take a step back to see how it all began. Hatshepsut wasn't born into royalty, but rather married into it. She wed her uncle, Pharaoh Amos, who was 20 years her senior. He ascended to the throne at a young age, and during his reign, he expanded Egypt's borders. But unfortunately, he was unable to have children. As the years went by, his wife's childlessness became more and more problematic. You see, in those days, having a male heir was crucial for ensuring the continuation of the royal bloodline. A queen without a son was considered incomplete. So when Hatshepsut gave birth to a baby girl, no one was particularly thrilled. Still, the king doted on his only child, whom he named Neferur. But when the princess grew up and still bore no sons, people began to urge the pharaoh to take another wife. And sadly, Hatshepsut found herself replaced in her husband's heart. Meanwhile, her own father, Senenmut, was rising through the ranks of the royal court. He became vizier, a position of great power and influence. Perhaps he was eager to ensure his bloodline would live on. And so he set his sights on Hatshepsut, who was still influential at court, despite being passed over for the role of chief wife. Soon enough, the two were sharing a bed, much to the disgust of some courtiers. It seemed the queen had become nothing more than a footnote in her husband's life. But she was about to make a comeback, albeit in a very unexpected way. In 1532 BC, Moses died after a long reign of over 40 years. His successor was none other than Hatshepsut, who took the throne under the title King, Matkare, meaning the just one who has come forth. She may have been the first female pharaoh in Egyptian history, but she didn't shy away from the responsibilities of her new position. In fact, she took to it like a fish in water. Hatshepsut ruled like any other male pharaoh. She wore the traditional kilt and fake beard, rode a chariot like a warrior, and hunted like a man. For the most part, she was well liked by her subjects. She promoted trade, rebuilt temples, commissioned works of art, made generous donations to the building projects, and supported the priests. But there were still many who doubted her legitimacy, and one wrong move could cost her everything. Still, she was determined to leave her mark on history. Unlike her predecessors, she didn't focus on military campaigns, but rather on diplomacy and trade. She sent expeditions to the land of Punt, now believed to be Somalia, in search of exotic goods such as incense, ivory, and gold. These trading missions were extremely risky, but Hatshepsut wasn't afraid of danger. She knew that if she could bring back valuable goods from Punt, she would gain the respect of her people, and she succeeded. Her merchants returned with more than just riches. They brought back live elephants, which were a rare sight in Egypt. Hatshepsut was so proud of their accomplishment that she erected a huge obelisk in Karnak Temple to commemorate the event. It's still standing today, a testament to her bravery and determination. But not everyone was happy with her accomplishments. There were many rivals in Egypt who wanted the throne for themselves, and Hatshepsut's half-brother, Thutmose, was one of them. When she took the throne, She designated Thutmose as her heir apparent, perhaps as a way of appeasing her late husband's family. But as time went on, she began to fear that he might try to usurp the throne, and she wasn't wrong. As Hatshepsut grew older, Thutmose became more and more impatient. He began to question his mother's right to rule and plotted to take the throne for himself. In 1482 BC, he launched a coup and seized control of the kingdom. Hatshepsut was forced to flee to the safety of her palace. But Thutmose wasn't done with her yet. He erased her name from the monuments and tried to rewrite history so that there was no record of her reign. He even went so far as to defame her, claiming that she was illegitimate and should never have been pharaoh in the first place. It seemed that Hatshepsut's legacy would be tarnished forever. However, one man refused to let her story be forgotten. A vizier named Senenmut had been loyal to Hatshepsut from the beginning, and he was determined to keep her memory alive. He built a magnificent temple complex in her honor and filled it with statues and reliefs depicting her accomplishments. But this, too, was not enough. Senenmut knew that Hatshepsut's story needed to be told to future generations so that they would never forget her. So he did something truly remarkable. He hired a team of scribes and ordered them to write down everything they knew about her reign. They wrote about her diplomatic missions, her building projects, her acts of charity, and her victories against her enemies. They also wrote about her personal life, her hobbies, her interests, and her favorite foods. It was a monumental task, but they were determined to complete it. And when they were finished, they buried the scrolls in a secret chamber beneath the temple, hidden from view, but not from the eyes of the faithful. It's unclear exactly why Hatshepsut's successor erased her name from history. Perhaps he was ashamed of having a woman as his mother, or maybe he simply wanted to erase any mention of her from his records. Whatever the reason, he succeeded in covering up her reign. And for centuries, people knew little about what she had accomplished. That was until 1737, when an Italian explorer stumbled upon her temple complex. He was stunned by what he found inside, including a statue of Hatshepsut wearing the traditional pharaoh's garb. This discovery led to the unearthing of more artifacts and eventually a full-scale excavation of the site. Today we know much more about Hatshepsut and her accomplishments thanks to the work of archaeologists and historians. We know that she was a brilliant leader who helped bring Egypt into a golden age. We also know that she was a loving mother who cared deeply for her daughter. But most importantly, we know that she was a woman who broke the mold and defied the odds. Hatshepsut may have been gone, but her legacy lived on. Why did Thutmose want to wipe out any mention of Hatshepsut from history? You might think it was because he didn't believe a woman should rule over men. But what if there was more to the story? Maybe Hatshepsut had done something terrible, something so bad that it needed to be hidden from the world. If she had committed unspeakable acts, then it makes sense why he would try so hard to erase her memory. Could she have committed regicide, killing her own husband to take the throne? Or perhaps she'd done something even worse. Whatever it was, it seems like the truth was too horrifying for future generations to bear. Historians have been debating for years over what could have caused Thutmose to behave so erratically. Some say he was insane, while others argue he was simply ambitious and wanted all the power for himself. But there is one theory that has gained some traction in recent years. It's possible that Thutmose was actually Hatshepsut's son, not her half-brother. This would mean that he was the rightful heir to the throne, and that Hatshepsut had usurped it from him. If that's true, then it explains why he hated her so much and wanted to erase her from history. It would also explain why she built her own temple complex. After all, she knew that her time as pharaoh was coming to an end, and she wanted to ensure that her legacy would live on. The idea that Hatshepsut was a male usurper isn't popular among Egyptologists, but it's certainly an interesting theory. And who knows, maybe one day we'll find evidence to support it. Until then, we can only speculate about what really happened all those years ago. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below, and thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any new stories.